Now, Nate, we ended up with the first 10 picks. Oh, Jack said he's ready to hate all these. Now, I don't know if people are agreeing with me on these. I think Sai said that he watched a couple mock drafts and some were similar, but for the majority of it, it was kind of unique to my taste. So, to kind of get not that I'm going to go over the 110 picks we did, but we had 3 quarterbacks go in the first round, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and then two O linemen and a linebacker. So we've had 1 defensive player go in the first 10 picks, which brings me to pick 11.
All right.
Pick 11 is the Minnesota Vikings, and it took me a minute to realize who I thought was going to be on here. Did they need a quarterback? Do they need a wide receiver? Because if Kirk Cousins does not get re-signed to the Vikings, because right now he's one of the hottest free agents on the market.
Yes, he is.
He is. Very big, very big. If Kirk Cousins does not re-sign to the Vikings, which they are having kind of problems with because they don't know if he's going to perform as well as he did before with his Achilles tear, and so I mean, you don't know. You have to take a risk if you sign him. Maybe sign him for a short deal, see what happens, and you can talk longer.
Gotcha.
Because of that. If Kirk Cousins does, and I talked about this last Thursday, if Kirk Cousins does not get re-signed to Minnesota, there's a chance that Justin Jefferson, which is arguably the best offensive player on Minnesota, will not re-sign because he went and said that he will not play for a quarterback that's not Kirk Cousins. He'll only play for Kirk. Because
that shows you respect. That's respect that he has for his teammate.
But I'm saying, like, if I had the stats Justin Jefferson's had with Kirk Cousins, of course I want Kirk Cousins to stay. I'm trying to break 2,000 yards for the first time in my career, which he was on pace for it until he got injured. And so I kind of strayed away from that because to me, if you don't re-sign Kirk and then you don't re-sign your best offensive player, your whole franchise is in ruins. Yeah. Your whole franchise is doomed.
You got a point. Can't argue that. I cannot argue that.
Because realistically, who are you going to get? Who are you going to get? I mean, you saw the quarterback fiasco the Vikings had.
Yes.
That when Kirk Cousins was injured, and it did not look pretty. It did not look pretty. They didn't make the playoffs. I mean, Justin Jefferson was injured for a majority of that time, but they went through 3 quarterbacks, I think. And it didn't look pretty. So, will JJ follow Kirk if he goes to another team? It depends on what team he goes to who can sign JJ. If Kirk goes to a team that is like the Saints, for example, not that he will, but for example, the Saints have the lowest cap space in the NFL, which was -80, but now they had an increase of $266 million, I think, of cap space for the next season, which is good for us, which means we are all in the positive. But the Saints still have the lowest. So if Kirk were to go to the Saints, then Jay Jettas would not probably be able to sign with the Saints because they wouldn't have the money to do so. It just depends on what team Jay Jettas goes to.
I have to show you something.
You have to show me something?
Yeah.
Like so right now?
We were talking about NCAA. I know we were at a different stage.
Yeah.
Here it goes.
That's the steal shot? Hold up. Can I hold up? I'm going to solo you. What's it say on the back?
Strong safety, number 32. That's me.
It just says strong safety? Is that Arizona State?
That's Arizona versus Arizona State.
How did you find that?
I knew I had a picture of it.
That is crazy, Nate. That is so crazy. Man, if I would have known that, I would tell Tanner to put that on the thumbnail. Well, let's talk about defensive players because that's who's going in this next pick. So, the pick is in, Nate. The Vikings don't trade their pick. They think this is the best available player. Mel Kiper will have it as his best available player, and they will pick him up.
Yeah, Mel Kiper.
Laiatu Latu. I think that's how you pronounce it. Leia something.
Laiatu Latu.
Okay, yeah, Nate. You know, you were in college and in the Pac-12, like this guy was. So He was at Washington, transferred from Washington to UCLA, had a really good season, was at the Senior Bowl, he practiced, didn't play the game because there comes a time where practice means the most for scouts. If the game's kind of for the fans, so the people that are like punching their ticket to the first round don't normally play the game because their draft stock's not going to increase really much if they do really good in the game because scouts already know what they can do because of the practice.
Right.
So this guy had stellar practices at the Senior Bowl. I don't know if it would have raised his draft stock. I didn't do the mock draft before the Senior Bowl, so I don't know. I think this is the best available player for the Vikings. Think about it. Danielle Hunter had a great season this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had 16 and a half sacks. Very, very good. So you pair someone like Danielle Hunter, then you have Latu on the other side of him, and you're in for a recipe of destruction.
I like that. Now this is what the Saints pick.
No, this is the Vikings.
Vikings
Yes.
pick. Right?
I gave you that whole preface of Kirk and Jay Jettas. And
yeah, you know, please forgive me. Now, when we're talking about the Vikings, their main thing is that they have to re-sign Kirk. They're for them to be successful, they're probably going to have to. For them to be successful, excuse me, it's not the probably. They're going to have to re-sign Kirk Cousins because he's the engine of this team, the heart of this team. But again, reloading on defense. This is the thing that's important. I want people to understand this, and I'm not saying this because I'm defensively biased, but this is the reality of it. If it's the name of the game is you score more points than the other team, that's how you win. You got to score more points. If you have a defense that does not surrender points to the opposing team, that gives your team more chances to win, more chances, to go and have the ball more and create for your offense. So reloading on defense is always going to be important. So if they're going to, get this offensive line, this outside linebacker, and he provides a spark to this defense, then get him. Again, the draft right now, this time of the year is one of the most exciting, but yet it's hard and difficult time because you have a draft room and you never know who's going to pick who when they're on the clock. You never know. Teams make trades left and right. There's a lot of business that's done in that war room, the draft room, as they call it, the war room. So you have to literally, it's the most exciting time, but it's the hardest time because, again, watch the New England Patriots trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers this past draft, and they drafted the tackle from the University of Georgia. You know who was primed to draft him, that tackle from Georgia? The New York Jets. The Jets were primed to draft him. And mind you,
they're in the same division.
They was not going to give that draft pick to the Jets. And that's the most interesting thing about it. So it's like, hey, exciting, but yet it's angering. Like, you get angry during the draft. So I like this pick, right? I love this pick.
That's good. And Jack said that Danielle Hunter might not stay. And if he doesn't, this would be a good replacement for him. Yeah. I was thinking of them as a pair, but if he leaves, good replacement, whatever. It works either way, in my opinion. But you want to say the Patriots draft, up to get a tackle in the first round. They also drafted somebody named Cole Strange. Not to put disrespect on Cole Strange's name, but he was drafted like 24th overall in a draft that he should have fell to like the 5th round. Is what many people were saying. Like the Rams were looking at him, but they were like, we weren't looking at him till day 3. And I was like, and he might be good. Jack, I don't know his stats. If you wanna put your input on that, he might be good. But Nate, let's go to the next pick. The Denver Broncos have the next pick. Right, let's talk about the Denver Broncos situation before we get into it.
Yeah.
Okay. You have Sean Payton, who came in as a head coach, trying to turn things around. He very much disrespected Nathaniel Hackett and Nathaniel Hackett's tenure in Denver. He said it was the worst head coaching job he's ever seen in his life. So he came to Denver trying to turn things around. Now, it is just about 100% that Denver will be parting ways with Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a world where Russell Wilson stays.
No.
Sean Payton doesn't like him. And Sean Payton has to get somebody that is better. Russell Wilson wasn't bad in the beginning of the season, and it just got worse. But he wants somebody that he can mold and shape like he did Drew Brees back in 2006.
His own pick.
He wants his own pick. Now, even though he didn't draft Drew Brees, he brought Drew Brees to New Orleans.
Yeah.
In a world that was his own pick. He didn't pick him in the draft, but he picked him in free agency.
Yeah.
So, Nate, I don't like this pick, but I see something in this player that Sean Payton loves, like a little Tootsie Roll lollipop, where if he gets to the center, he will get that Tootsie Roll. So, Nate, the pick is in for the Denver Broncos. And who does Sean Payton want? Who does Sean Payton pick? Of course, it's the GM's decision at the end of the day. But I think the Broncos pick J.J. McCarthy, QB out of Michigan. I don't like J.J. McCarthy as a draft prospect this high. But there's things of J.J. McCarthy that can be almost related to Drew Brees. And then if Sean Payton gets his hands on that, who knows what J.J. McCarthy will be.
Right.
And Jack said he's going to faint. Now, I don't like J.J. McCarthy this high. I think J.J. McCarthy is system quarterback at Michigan. But there's something in him where I think it just makes sense. Gotcha. Just makes sense. I don't think he's better than Bo Nix. I don't think he's better than Michael Penix.
I think that's a good pick. I mean, for what you hit everything on, you hit the nail square for what Sean is looking for in itself. That's a perfect pick. Okay, perfect pick. What you got next?
Oh, he's better than Bo Nix. But I'm gonna get next. I just want to say one more thing with Sean Payton. He does stuff that is unpredictable. Nobody would have thought that he would have brought Drew Brees to New Orleans. There were two teams in the entire league that wanted Drew Brees. Miami and New Orleans. And we just got lucky.
Yeah, you got lucky. And listen, that was a big pickup.
It was big. And there are more teams that want J.J. McCarthy than two, I can assure you that. But I don't know if there's more than two teams that want him in the first round. We're going to see. But next, we're going to see. We're going to see. Next, Nate, you have a division rival after the Broncos. The Las Vegas Raiders are deciding who they want to take.
Mm-hmm.
A quarterback was just picked up. We've had only two defensive players picked up at this point.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, two. Do they go defense or do they stick with the trend? Now, you think of people like Darren Waller left. Josh Jacobs is in free agency. What do they want? Are there a good enough running backs to where the Raiders can pick them up in the first round? Now, I love Jonathan Brooks on Texas. I love him in Las Vegas. I don't think Jonathan Brooks is a day one guy. Now, there is a world where the Raiders trade up in day two to get Brooks, and I think he will be fantastic on the Raiders if that were the case. But let's look at another Texas player, Nate. Let's look at another dominant Texas player who was very, very good, even though they didn't win. Really good against getting pressure against Michael Penix in that game. Let's talk about Byron Murphy the second, DT out of Texas.
Good pick.
Now, I was debating having somebody pair up with Max Crosby. Now, I don't know the Raiders depth chart. Let me look it up real quick. Max Crosby. Max Crosby is good enough on his own. You don't have to have somebody on that other side. So, to have one side of your line just tearing through stuff would be phenomenal. Because right now they have Jerry Tillery and I don't even know how to pronounce that name. But Bilal, I don't know. Nichols, like two guys, I don't even know their stats. Two guys, I usually research a lot more on these dudes, and I should already know them, but because I don't know really good D tackles on the Raiders, I thought Byron Murphy was a good pick, and I still think he will be very good.
I think it's a great pick, and I explain to you why. The Raiders have to win with defense. Every team, you got to win with defense, and you're in the AFC West. Patrick Mahomes is a quarterback there. Justin Herbert's a quarterback in that division. As of right now, Russell Wilson's still a quarterback in that division. You have to prepare yourself to go out there, and you need a defense that's going to be able to compete and give trouble to these opposing quarterbacks and opposing offenses. I like this pick. What you got? What's next? You own something tonight, Connor.
Am I? Now let's talk. And that is a good thing you just pulled out. AFC West. Antonio Pierce came out. They said, "What is going to be your game plan for this season?" You know what he said? We're playing the Patrick Mahomes game.
Exactly.
So he's got to be a defensive pick right here. Murphy's maybe the quick. He might be.
We'll he may be the quickest D tackle in the draft.
But Nate, this is my favorite pick. I have been saying this before the Senior Bowl, before the Combine, before all this. This guy is going to the Saints. I saw him in college, and I love him. I love the way he plays. And look, we're not drafting a tackle this year. We're not drafting a tackle. We can find a tackle. We'll do something to get a tackle. It won't be in the first round.
Okay.
Hear me out, Nate. Cameron Jordan. He's old. He's getting old. He's like 34 as of right now. He's getting up there. He's slowly now. He kind of took a big digress this season. He hit hard, like it was bad. But Demario Davis is still kicking. That dude is still 34, but he's still kicking. I don't know how he does it. He must take his Flintstone gummies every day and eat his Wheaties. Now he's doing something right. But Nate, this guy will be the next Cameron Jordan if we can get our hands on him. I was watching film, and he was pushing linemen into not even tackling them. He was so strong, he was pushing linemen into the quarterback to sack the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nate, this pick is in for the New Orleans Saints, and if I'm the GM, there's this guy that's probably the best available right now. I'm taking Jared Verse, defensive end out of Florida State. Give it to me. Give it to me.
Again,
the New Orleans Saints pick him up.
I like that. And you're right, because it's at that time of the year where the tide is changing. One thing that we can't escape, players can't escape, and that's in all division, all sports: football, basketball, baseball, track and field, tennis, golf. There's this thing called Father Time, and it catches up to you. You're not gonna be able to move as fast as you used to. Have as much power, and you get off and whatnot. And again, it's time to replace. And I wouldn't necessarily say replace, but it's time to, because Cam Jordan can still play good football. He can mentor this young man and teach him the ins and outs of the game and whatnot. So that's a great pick. I have to give it to you. That's a great pick.
If he's still there, though. Now, Jack did say he'd be stunned if he's still there. I don't know if he's the best player for any of the teams above the Saints, which is why I have him falling to 14.
Right.
I think Latu is the answer for the Vikings. The Chicago Bears pick up Dallas Turner, who's the best defensive player in the draft, arguably. And then I don't see the Raiders picking up Jared first. So we'll see. I hope we can. No tackle this year. I will cry if we pick a tackle this year. If I see a tackle, I will cry. I don't want a tackle. So let's get to our next pick. I'd trade out and take Trice. I don't know who Trice is. You're going to have to elaborate on that.
I don't know.
You're going to have to elaborate on that. But let's go to our next pick, number 15. It's the Colts. Coincidentally enough, the people we beat in the Super Bowl to get our first Super Bowl for our franchise. Mm-hmm. Tracy Porter hit that pick six on Peyton Manning. Get the chills, Nate. Imagine it. Get the chills. Yes, it's happening. Washington, D.E. I don't know. I have to look at the Washington, D.E. I don't know if I have him in the first round, but let's keep going. The Colts are on the clock.
Oh.
I had a little bit of – I was thinking, Michael Pittman, I'm almost certain is a free agent. I don't think he's re-signed.
And I think I think Jonathan Taylor's a free agent too, if I'm not mistaken.
And I thought offense. There's no way you don't pick an offensive player. But then I got to thinking, how good could the Colts really be if they picked up this one guy? There is a position that has not been drafted yet. There's a couple positions that haven't been drafted yet, but there's one in particular where you saw a couple teams in the top 10 pick this position last year, and it paid out tremendously. New England Patriots was one of them. Seattle Seahawks was one of them. Let me go to Terrion Arnold, cornerback out of Alabama.
Cornerback from Alabama. Yeah, he was good.
He was a dog. Now the Colts pick up a cornerback. I know you might disagree with me. They might pick an offense here. I think Pittman is a free agent. Thank you. I thought so. And maybe Jonathan Taylor, like Nate said. I don't know.
Okay.
I honestly think there comes a time where you say, okay, we can rebuild with the next picks in the draft, but there is not going to be a player like this unless we just strike gold. That's going to be in these next couple days. So there's no time like the present, Nate. You have to take the best available player no matter who it is, because you don't want anybody like you have a couple you have a divisional opponent the next two picks. If you let your divisional rival pick a player and he ends up becoming a dog, you're going to sit in your room, you're going to get in the fetal position and cry in the closet. Yeah. So you have to make sure there's no time like the present. You have to make sure you pick this pick. And that's why I have Terrion Arnold go.
That's
the Colts.
That's a good pick. I can't disagree with that one. That's a good pick. Let's see what you got next.
Okay, next. I saw this guy at the Senior Bowl. He was pretty good. There was some times where I was like, he's got some stuff to work on, but that's why he's not the first one of his position picked. So Seahawks are on the board. Geno has that team-friendly contract where it's easy to trade them. It's easy to do whatever they want with them if that had to happen. Yeah, McKinstry, I had him in the first. I'll tell you this: I had him in the first round, but I took him off, and I'll tell you next week why I took him off. We'll get to that. But they don't know who they're. Not they don't know. Geno will probably start, but they have a team-friendly deal if Geno doesn't work out because he's kind of it's been inconsistent in his career. You just don't know when something like that happens. He could be back to old Geno. But regardless, you want somebody who's going to protect whoever in that spot. Now, the Seahawks drafted Mississippi State's own Charles Cross in the top 10 a couple years back. Well, let's get another tackle this draft. Let's fortify that O-line. Give me Tyler Guyton, tackle out of Oklahoma.
Because what that's going to do is going to protect the quarterback, but it's also going to allow Seattle to get back to their bread and butter. Seattle's formula for winning has always been defense and running the ball. That's perfect. That's perfect.
And that's exactly what I was going to go for. You have two, it may be three. I don't even know if McIntosh counts, Rob. I'm sorry. I don't think he does. You have two really good. Kenneth Walker III turned out phenomenal. Very, very, very good. And then you have Zach. I don't even know. Is it Charbonnet?
Charbonnet.
I think, yeah. You have those two guys who are pretty good in my opinion. I would not mind that 1-2 punch on my team.
Gotcha.
But the only reason you can keep them doing what they're doing is to have the O-line to protect them and make sure that they can get into the holes necessary to make those long runs. And that's why I have an O tackle there. Okay, we're gonna. He's spoiling my picks. He's spoiling my picks. Next pick. Okay, Jacksonville Jaguars are up. I don't have any trades in these next. I told you I don't have any trades.
Oh, yeah, you don't have trades.
Jacksonville Jaguars are next. I kind of debated Calvin Ridley if he stays, and maybe picking wide receiver here. Trevor Lawrence has had he's been, I think he's still the best quarterback of that draft class in 2021, but he's had some trouble, especially this year. It feels like his offensive line is getting worse, which is why he seemed like he's getting worse. And the only way to fix that is to pick up another offensive line. I don't have a tackle going here. I don't have a guard going here. I have the best center in the draft going to Jacksonville, Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon. Because this way, Trevor Lawrence, if this center pans out like we think he is because he's a first-round draft pick, you're not going to have barely any bad snaps. You're not going to get as many pressures if he's the center we think he is. And that will help the Jaguars not lose 5 games in a row where they don't go to the playoffs.
Playoff.
But elevate them to the playoff standard that they were before. Okay, let's keep going. Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. Joe Burrow got injured,
I want to hear this one.
Joe, and there's a thing where T. Higgins, we trade him, we sign a long contract with them. There's a world where they have said that he's going to be our franchise player. Now you think, why isn't Joe Burrow or Jamar Chase your franchise player? Joe Burrow's on a contract already, and Jamar Chase is still on his rookie deal. So Jamar Chase cannot be your franchise player because he does not have that franchise contract. So T. Higgins, although if you want to trade him, keep him, whatever, you're not drafting a wide receiver here. You keep the trend going. You had the first 2 picks be O-linemen. You keep the trend going. Protect Joe Burrow even more. You had some injuries on that O-line. Well, let's fix it. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Talais Fuaga, OT out of Oregon State. Yeah. You don't just protect Joe Burrow. You make sure that he can cover the injuries. If he doesn't become a starter this year, he can cover the injuries on that O-line you've had trouble with in the past, and you take him first round.
That's perfect right there, protecting your franchise in regards to Joe Burrow. That's perfect.
And if they trade T. Higgins, they can get more draft capital.
Exactly.
Draft whoever they want.
Right. Yes.
Okay, let's keep going. Okay, we got 3 more picks. And these are some fun picks. The Rams. Now, this is one where I was like, there's usually teams like to pick what they need in the first round. This might be a need for the Rams. It might not be a need for the Rams, but I thought that I could see this happening. They drafted Stetson Bennett last year in the draft, like fourth. Rob, correct me if I'm wrong. You probably know 4th-ish round, somewhere around there. Stetson Bennett, okay in the preseason. Well, you have a dude that has just about as much experience as Stetson Bennett, but arguably even better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I had the Rams picking Bo Nix, quarterback out of Oregon. But Matthew Stafford, he had a good second half of the season. You don't know if he's going to go back to how he performed in that first half.
Okay.
To get someone like this, a cushion, and Bo Nix with his experience, yes, Stetson Bennett, didn't work out. You see how Bo Nix plays. I think that just picking him up right here might be the best pick for the Rams. Jack doesn't like it. And I could be. He might fall to day 2 like Will Levis. It could happen, but we're gonna see.
Okay. I like that one.
Next, the Steelers are on the clock, and I had all this stuff. No, are they picking up Russell Wilson? Are they picking up Justin Fields? Are they gonna get, because they need a quarterback? Whatever they do, they need a quarterback. He's brutal. I will read your report after the show. They need a quarterback. Are they going to get one for free agency, try to trade? Are they going to draft one, Nate? Well, who's the next big quarterback up on this list? Who's going to be the guy that was a Heisman finalist? Who's going to be the guy that I could see in a Steelers uniform, like somebody like Michael Vick? Oh, yeah. I'm glad you said it.
Michael Penix.
Michael Penix is going to the Steelers. He's a Steeler baby. And he's going to the Steelers. He's going to be the second little Mike Vick little tenure they had. But he's going to be better than Mike Vick. He's going to be better than Mike Vick.
The last 2 picks, let's put an asterisk by them because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen when the new league year begins on March 13th. But I like them, but let's put an asterisk by them.
We can do a mock draft 2.0 if we want to.
Okay.
But the Steelers drafting Michael Penix in a Steelers uniform just looks nasty to me.
Nasty. Okay.
And I like it. I like it because look, you don't have as much pressure in that quarterback position. You have the least amount of pressure in the entire league because you're on the Pittsburgh Steelers. They went to the playoffs with their defense. If you don't perform well in your first year, the pressure is not all there. They had Mason Rudolph for 5 years in Pittsburgh. They could have Michael Penix there. One day, Michael Penix is gonna bam, and he's gonna be something special. And they're gonna find their Big Ben.
Okay.
But let me close it out, Nate. Let me close it out with a very special pick, a very cool pick in my opinion. The Dolphins are on the clock, and you can say Arthur Smith as the OC doesn't do well. Dang, I forgot they freaking signed Arthur Smith. Are you kidding me? Okay, doesn't matter. We're gonna keep the mock draft how it is. This is the last pick of the night, and then we're gonna do the next week. I'm gonna close it out, Nate. The Dolphins are on the clock. What position do you think the Dolphins? I mean, you just take a guess. If you played on the Dolphins, you know how it works over there. What are they looking for?
If I'm in Miami, I want to shore up defense even more and get some more depth on the defense. Now, am I going to go D-line or am I going to go linebacker? I personally probably would go linebacker, but D-lineman is always anybody that can rush the passer because they need depth there. So I'm going ahead and go say rush the passer.
Unfortunately, Nate, I don't think there's a linebacker that's good enough to be for this pick, which could be picked later in the draft. But I do agree with you that you need defensive depth. Now, they picked up somebody like Jalen Ramsey out of a couple of years back, got injured, ended up being the same dog he was when he came back. Well, before Jalen Ramsey gets up in age and you want him to still perform in that cornerback position, Jalen Ramsey can play nickel, can play the wideout corner. He can play it all. Their defense revolves around Jalen Ramsey. But when Jalen Ramsey leaves, you want somebody that can almost take his position because that's what you built your defense around. So let's go to somebody who I think is versatile enough to take that. Give me Quinion Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo. We saw him at the Senior Bowl. Yes, we saw him at the Senior Bowl. He was a dog. Now, there was another dude at the Senior Bowl who he was very versatile, and I loved him so much. But I don't know if he's a first-round guy.
Okay.
Quinion is 100% a first-round guy. He stunned everybody at that Senior Bowl.
That's something different, but I like that. I like that right there.
This could be the guy who becomes your next Jalen Ramsey. Because let's be honest, how long does Jalen Ramsey have before he stops being able to play that nickel versatile position? It won't be very long. So give me Quinion Mitchell. Give me that to end off picks 11 through 20.
Okay. No, I got to give you. I told you tonight was your night. You did your research. I like the whole picks 11 through 20. Only won the last two picks. Just a little. The two quarterbacks, Michael Penix and was that Bo Nix? You said, or was
yeah,
it Bo?
Yeah, it was Bo Nix.
Just because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you don't.
A lot of things that got to fall into place with Russell Wilson and
Justin Fields.
So we got to figure out what's going on with them, and everything will be, I guess you could say, quote unquote, in place when March 13th, the new league year, once it hits. But other than that, I love it. You did.
Thank you. And then we'll probably make a March 13th mock draft, go super fast on it, and then we'll probably make a last final one before the draft.
Probably gonna have to do it like the week before the draft, just to go ahead and cross our T's, dot our I's, and just because you never know. Again, one of the things that we cannot foresee is the trades happening, because it's unforeseeable trades happening and whatnot, especially picks 15 to 30. You can't foresee the trades happening, but hey, heck of a job. Okay, Mr. GM. Okay, Mr. GM. Okay,
we're gonna get to it. Hey, I watched Draft Day like 3 times. I love that movie.